Hello everyone, my name is Bill, and I'm here to talk about the new Sega Genesis Mini 2. This is a plug-and-play console, much like the last one I covered on my channel, but this one, in particular, is made by Sega themselves, not AtGames, and it's an update to the slightly older Sega Genesis Mini 1, which is quite a bit larger than the new one. This thing has 60 games on it, including 12 Sega CD games, which is a huge deal. That's the whole selling point of this one specifically, is it has Sega CD games. And it also has like a list of like 7, I think they're arcade ports, like Fantasy Zone and Space Harrier 2. But today we're going to look at this, and we're going to go over some of the games, some of the settings, what features it includes, and we're going to have a good time with it. Now, inside the box, you have, of course, the console itself, which is tiny. Okay, I have the AtGames Genesis from the last video I did. It's this big, and the Mini 2, like, it's, you know, this thing could eat it for lunch. Tiny little thing. I/O, you have an HDMI and micro USB for power. You have 2 USB ports at the front for your controllers, and the cartridge slot actually opens. How cool is that? You cannot put cartridges in this. Unlike the AtGames Genesis, you cannot put cartridges in this. Please don't try, you will break it. This is the size of a Sega Genesis cartridge, basically. Of course, you get the console itself. You get an HDMI cable. You get a micro USB cable for power, and you get a USB AC adapter to plug into the wall. And, of course, you get a controller. Now, the controller for this thing doesn't seem to... I thought, when I got this, I thought that this was going to be the exact same Retrobit USB controllers that Sega has been selling for the past couple years. That appears to not be the case. I have them both here, and they're very similar. This is the official Mini 2. Focus, please. That's the official Mini 2. And that's the Retrobit. You can't tell by looking at them that they're any different, but they are. The buttons feel a little different. They're a little mushier on the one that came with the console. A little more crisp on the one that that Retrobit makes. The D-pads feel almost identical. And like visually, I can't really tell a difference. The one that came with the console has a slightly larger Sega logo on it. I'm not sure what the deal is with that, but they are intercompatible. You can plug the Retrobit controller into the Genesis Mini. So if you already have one of those, you can play your 2-player games no problem. So, I believe that's all that comes in the box, yeah? Let's have a look at the box, by the way. I'm going to give you just kind of shot of, I guess, the top and bottom, or the front and back. There's the front. Very nice box, very reminiscent of the old Genesis boxes. There's the back, a list of all the games, all the Sega Genesis games. The introducing, I believe, are the arcade ports, and then Sega CD games. Very nice box. Much like the AtGames box, just looks like an old Genesis box that your old Sega Genesis would come in. Very cool. Let's plug this thing in and have a look at some of the games and features, shall we? Okay, so when you turn this thing on, you are greeted with a language menu. I speak English, so we are going to go with the English language. And yeah, right into the games. As you can see, the menu looks quite a bit better than the AtGames Genesis console. A bunch more games. This has 60 games as opposed to the Genesis 1's 40 games. Very cool. Before we jump into any of the games, though, let's have a look at the settings and see what we have there. Please read this before playing. That's where you'll find like the manual and the health warning, you know, for photoepilepsy, seizures, stuff like that. Languages, we were just there. Game settings, you can change the screen settings. So you can either have 1-to-1 square pixels, which is the way that I prefer to play, and you can also stretch the image to the full screen, which will result in uneven pixel scaling. Wouldn't look amazing. Once I get into a game, I'll show you what it looks like, but we're gonna stick with pixel perfect for now. You also have wallpapers. Let's scroll through some of these. These are just borders to go on the outside of the screen. I personally prefer just having no border. So for the rest of this video, we're gonna go with the no border. We have sound settings. This is actually really cool. You can either emulate the sound of the Sega Genesis Model 2 or the Genesis Model 1. I'm going to turn up the volume here and let you listen to each one. That was the Genesis Model 2, and here's the Genesis Model 1. And back to the Model 2. As you can hear, there's a lot more top end in the Model 2 Genesis. Sounds a bit clearer, a bit crisper. So I'm going to stick with that. If you are all about that bass and just want the low end, then you can use the Model 1. There's also the mode button setting on the I guess the right shoulder of the controller. There's a mode button, which can be used to open the quick menu. And you can just change how long you have to hold it to get to that menu, or just turn it off entirely. And you have staff credits. And this is, yeah, just a scrolling list of everyone who worked on the thing. Very cool. Legal notices, probably just like a EULA. Yeah, wow, it's way less cool than the regular credits. Okay, we don't need to deal with that. Then, of course, there's reset to factory settings, if you want to reset the languages and the game settings and all that. So let's go back to the main menu here, and let's hop into a game. Because Sega CD is the main event here, we're going to start with Sonic CD. And, yeah, you can just open up the menu and you can just scroll through all the games. If you'd rather look at them like this. But we're just going to jump into Sonic the Hedgehog CD. Oh, this is very cool. I didn't know this. You can either choose the US version or the European version. I'm not exactly sure what the difference is. Probably has to do with the speed of the game. Maybe there are some soundtrack differences. I know there are two different soundtracks for Sonic CD, but we're going to go with the US version. I'm going to go old school like my At Games video and put myself here in the corner. I've cropped the image and moved it over so that you can see the game in its entirety. And we'll just have some blank space underneath me. So here we are in Sega CD, or oh gosh, here we are in Sonic CD. Very cool. Let's start a new game here, and we'll just see how it runs, how it sounds, how it looks. Very crisp. One thing to note about the Mini 2 is that it only outputs 720p. I'm recording this video in 4K. So, what's going on here is I loaded up the game and I brought up my Elgato capture card and set it to 720p, scaled it to fill the full screen. And in OBS, you can choose if you want point upscaling or bilinear upscaling and a bunch of other settings. If you didn't choose point, the game would look like this. It's just a little bit blurrier. This is what it would look like if you plugged it into a 4K TV. It's still fine, but I like to show you the best that you can get out of your consoles. So I'm setting it to point filtering. If you're using a capture card with OBS, you can make it look like this. No problem. It looks great. It looks like you're upscaling the original image to 4K. Now, lag, I'm not feeling much of it, and I'm playing through the OBS preview. So, doesn't seem to be much there. I've seen some other reviewers talk about how there's a little bit of lag, but honestly, because you're dealing with these little miniature systems, you're always going to have some sort of lag. By the way, I've never played this game. I know very little about Sonic CD. I think I've tried to play it a little bit in the past. I don't know what leads to you going through time, but I know that there's a past and a future to each level. Now, one gripe that I have with any Sega Genesis emulator or mini console like this is the sound never sounds right, you know? And this is no exception. The sound of the rings sounds a little muffled. It doesn't sound as crisp as it should. But, you know, if you're someone who has never played a Sega Genesis before, you probably won't notice and you probably won't care. Most people will not care. Unlike some of the older clone hardware where it was like actually difficult to listen to, this sounds fine. It's alright. Oh, hitting the goalpost in Sonic 2 on the AtGames Genesis sounded like garbage. So I'm glad they at least fixed that part of the sound emulation. Hey, what's up? Editor Bill here. I realized that I forgot to show you guys what full screen looked like on this console, so I'm going to run through just a little bit of Sonic CD so that you can get an idea. Like I said, I prefer playing in pixel perfect mode. You know, stretched, you know, it fills out the screen, which is great. But it's not quite even. It just doesn't look as good, in my opinion. It's a little bit stretched, so like Sonic looks a little bit wider than he should be, and the pixels are just uneven, not as crisp when you upscale it. It's fine. It's fine, but it's not pixel perfect, so I wouldn't recommend this. Let's hit our mode button here on our right shoulder, and that brings up the system menu. You can make save states. You can load from your save states, you can reset the game, and what we're going to do is return to the main menu, because we got some more games to play. I'm not going to play every single game on here. If you want to see how every game runs, a YouTube channel called GameSack went through every single game on the system and pointed out any flaws that they had. And yeah, just played through every game. Didn't play entirely through, but showed you how every game looked and ran. Let's go with Outrunners next. I wanted to play this game specifically because when I was setting up the console for the first time before I started recording, I noticed it sounded weird. But not like in the bad Sega clone hardware way. Just something about it is off, and I'm not sure if that's just how the game sounded originally. But you know, it's just not great. Let me turn it up a little bit. And then when I hit the start button, yeah, that doesn't sound good at all. There's something wacky happening with the sound emulation here. It's very crunchy. But I'll turn that back down. And let's choose our car. I want... not Road Monster. What's the one that I usually played on the arcade? Oh, Wild Chaser! Let's go with Mad Power, I think. Oh no, we gotta do Speed Buster. Yeah, we're playing in the Speed Buster. Oh, that's right. In the arcade, it was like, are you sure you want to play with manual transmission? And it always forces you to go back to the arcade, or the automatic. I don't know. Well, I'm already doing poorly. I didn't know which button was go. But yeah, this is Outrunners. As far as I can tell, it's playing as it should. What I don't like about this game is that the computer is just always on the bottom half of the screen. You don't get to play it in full screen mode that I know of. I don't know if this game has any special settings that you need to change, but I'm pretty sure this is just how it goes. So yeah, as I mentioned, there are some weird audio issues here and there, but it plays as it should. It's certainly not as good as the arcade version, but it controls well. And it sure is an outrun game. So let's close out of this one and go to another game. Now, because... oh no! I hit the wrong button. Now, because this console's whole selling point is the Sega CD games, I'm gonna pull up another one here. Let's do... oh, you know what? Let's do the infamous FMV game, if I can find it. Where is Night Trap? I know it's on here. Oh, right there. Yeah. Let's play Night Trap. Infamous game. Everyone knows about it. There's plenty of videos on the internet on why this is such a big deal of a game. Certainly not anymore. But when it released, this game was the reason that this game, along with Mortal Kombat, are the reason that we have the ESRB game rating system now. Because parents were just so upset that there are girls who get attacked by these guys. Oh, I don't remember how to do anything. What? I don't know how to do anything. I was supposed to catch those guys, is the thing, and send them to their deaths. Oh! Does it start? No? I just don't know how to play this game. But this is how an FMV game looks. You can kind of make out the image of a person there. But Night Trap, you know, it runs as it should, as far as I know. I do have a copy, and I've played it on a real Sega CD. I'm pretty sure it was just like that. So let's go on to another game. This has Streets of Rage 3. Streets of Rage, one of my favorite, absolute favorite Sega Genesis franchises. Let's find it. Ooh, Streets of Rage 3. Streets of Rage 3, I don't think I've ever played it. I know I've played 2, and I've played 1 a lot. I don't think I've ever played Streets of Rage 3. Otherwise known as Bare Knuckle 3 in other countries. Maybe just Japan, but I'm not 100% sure. Music by my favorite video game composer of the 16-bit era, Yuzo Koshiro. Hello? I don't know what goes on in this one, but I gotta pick my boy Skate. I always pick Skate. He's my guy. I like that he's fast. He doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but he moves around the stage pretty quickly. He's my guy. Yeah, look at him go. Now, it sounds kind of like hot garbage. That's just Streets of Rage. All the sampled voices and screams. That's just normal for these games. Now, I'm not noticing any screen tearing, any... what's the term for that? Uneven scrolling. Really, just overall, this console looks and plays quite well. Man, I love Streets of Rage. Favorite beat 'em up on the Genesis for sure. When I was a kid, I had a cartridge called the Sega 6-Pack, and as the name implies, it has 6 games on it. Sonic 1, Streets of Rage 1, Golden Axe, Super Hang-On, Columns, and Revenge of Shinobi. Very fun. I didn't have very many Sega Genesis games growing up, but that 6-pack was one of them, so I just played the crap out of those 6 games forever. So yeah, Streets of Rage runs well, sounds good, looks good. Let's load up another one here. I think we'll do one more and get on with it. Golden Axe 2. Oh, I didn't know that was on here, but I specifically wanted to play Sonic 3D Blast. This is one of my favorite Sonic games on the Genesis. I like it more than Sonic 3, which is blasphemy to Sonic fans. I should not have said that. And it's pure nostalgia. This was another one of the games that I had as a kid. I didn't have Sonic 2, I didn't have Sonic 3. I had Sonic 1, and I had Sonic 3D Blast. Love this game. It's quite good. It's a little rough to go back to, because it's an isometric 3D game, as we'll see in a moment. Green Grove Zone, definitely not Green Hill Zone. Yeah, it's isometric 3D. This game is available on the Sega Genesis Collection on Steam, and there's a free mod. I'm pretty sure it's a free mod that was released by the original director of this game, and it's called the Sonic 3D Blast Director's Cut. It adds a bunch of new features, tightens up the movement a bit, adds a level selection, I think, and adds Supersonic to the game. The interesting thing about this game is you can get all of the Chaos Emeralds, but you can't turn into Supersonic. I don't know why. But yeah, this is one of those games that, you know, you have games as a kid and they may not be great, but it's what you have. So you just play them a lot. And this was one of those for me. I recognize that it's not particularly good, but it's good to me and I like it. I always just get so nostalgic when I play this game, or really any of the games that I had as a kid. I'm a very nostalgic person. I'm a very nostalgic, sentimental guy. So anytime I get to go back and play something from my childhood, even if it was bad, and even if I can recognize it was bad, like this, I just fall in love with it. I realize I'm kind of rambling here. I'm supposed to be reviewing a console. Yeah, let me beat this bonus stage real quick, and we'll get on with it. This is what all the bonus stages in this game look like, by the way. This is how you get the Chaos Emeralds. You find Tails or Knuckles, and you just go on one of those weird 3D bridges and collect a bunch of rings. I like it. It's maybe not as iconic as the half pipe from Sonic 2, but I think it's fun. I don't know. Yeah, you know, I think that's about all I have to say about this console. Again, if you want to know how any particular game on this plays and looks and sounds, GameSack on YouTube covered every single game on the console. And there's a lot to go through. But yeah, overall, I think this is a really, really nice mini system. However, still doesn't nail the audio emulation of the Genesis. Super common issue, I know. But you'd think they've had it. You would think they would have it figured out by now. Also, 720p max. We are in the 4K era. This video is in 4K on YouTube. Everyone has a 4K TV. You can buy one for like $200 with like Amazon Fire built in or Roku built in. Come on, it's time to at least bump your mini console's resolution up to 1080p, please. Another problem I have with this, the original Sega Genesis Mini came with 2 controllers. Came with 2 of them. Granted, they were the 3-button controllers, and this one comes with a 6-button controller. But like, there are 2-player games on this. Why not include a second controller? But I get it. If you bought the Genesis Mini 1, you have extra controllers. If you've bought a USB Retrobit Genesis controller, you have extra controllers. It just would have been nice to have a matching pair, but I understand that the whole goal of this was to make it mini. It is a mini console, and they really took that literally here. Again, let's compare. Mini 2, Mini 1. Not so mini anymore, are ya? But yeah, I enjoy it. I think this is great. The game list maybe isn't as iconic as the first one. You don't get the classic Sonic games like 1, 2, or 3, but you do get Sonic CD, and you get 3D Blast, and just a whole slew of other games. You got Toe Jam and Earl, you got Final Fight, you got Echo the Dolphin, Outrun, Outrunners, Rolling Thunder, Shining Force, Splatterhouse 2, Streets of Rage 3, Super Hang-On, Golden Axe 2. The Genesis library is massive, and you just like grab a blind handful of Genesis games and you're gonna have some icons in there. And really, I don't think there's any garbage on this console. It doesn't seem like there's much filler at all. It even has Truxton. I've been looking for a physical copy of Truxton for years, and I haven't been able to find it. But it's on this thing. Like I'm pretty sure if you go out and try to buy the game, it's like over $100 at this point. But yeah, that's the Sega Genesis Mini 2. The weird thing about it is you can only buy it on Amazon from Japan, and it's $100. So I ordered this like 2 weeks ago. It just arrived. It is what it is. I guess they decided that the mini console craze is going out, so you can't just go to the store and buy one of these. You gotta order it from Amazon. However, it wasn't that hard to get, and it wasn't that expensive. And I think it's worth it. And I'm sure in the coming months there will be a way to hack it and add your own games to it if you'd like. Can't say for sure, but I'd assume that's what's going to happen. So yeah, that was the Sega Genesis Mini 2. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you'll catch me in the next video. I don't know when it'll be, but I'm sure I'll upload again in the future. I always do. I always come back. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.